Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Barina Alexander. If you're new here, thank you for joining me. Please hit the subscribe button so I can get updates about the legal aspects of your business. And if you're not new, welcome again, and it's good to have you here. Let's move on to what's new for today. Hi, my name is Barinada Bema Alexander, and I welcome you to this video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at co-founder exits. What are the circumstances that can give rise to a co-founder working out of your startup? Now, it's important to talk about this at this stage because many times you feel like, oh, my co-founder is my friend. I trust him. He's well. He's good. He wouldn't slime me and all of that. And we forget to do the needful. So the question we're going to ask ourselves is: are there other circumstances? Are there other things that can make a co-founder want to leave your startup beyond the usual, of course, which is hostility, right? So the point we're making in this video is that hostility is one out of several other reasons why a co-founder may leave your startup. And so I'm going to quickly share with you the other factors that can make a co-founder leave your startup. Number one reason why is a co-founder may leave your startup is for educational purpose. So let's say he's going abroad to complete his studies. He wants to further his education. He wants to advance his career and all of that. He may decide that working on your startup or working in your startup will be distracting for him, and so he may want to take the decision to leave your startup. In that instance, there is no hostility. He's still friends with you. Okay, I mean, there's no bad feelings or anything, but he just wants to further his education. And at the moment, building your startup is not one of his priorities. You need to prepare for when that happens, when that decision, when your co-founder comes to tell you, hey, I'd like to further my education. I do not think that I'll have the time to work on your startup as a CTO. So yeah, education is one reason why a co-founder may decide to work out of your startup. Another reason, and this is a very important reason why a co-founder may decide to work out of your startup, is on ill health, on the ground of ill health. Okay, so if your co-founder suddenly develops an ill health, like he's not feeling fine, or he has a medical condition that he's dealing with, that might be ground enough, reason enough for him to say, you know what, I cannot continue to work on this startup. I would want to walk away so I can have time to take care of myself. So it is not always about fighting, it is not always about hostility. Sometimes the mere fact that your co-founder is not psychologically, physically, and mentally all right is a good reason for them to want to step away. And in order not to feel abandoned in your business, you need to, factor this in mind when starting or when onboarding that co-founder. The third reason why a co-founder may decide to leave your startup regardless of hostility is on the ground of marriage, and this is especially so for female co-founders. So if your co-founder is a woman and she just newly got married or she's planning to get married, of course you do not expect that she would choose a startup over getting married. Well, maybe there are very rare situations where that can happen, but in most cases she wants to get married first. Okay, and so if being married require her to travel or leave or change location or maybe even change business, that may be another good reason why she would want to leave your startup. So marriage is a very important factor to consider. So if you're thinking of onboarding a female entrepreneur or a female co-founder, you need to ask yourself, is she married? We should be getting married anytime soon. How will her new status affect her responsibility, say as your CTO or as your COO? Yeah, so another important reason why your co-founder may leave your startup is relocation. So if they say, if for example, they are no longer going to be living in the country where you're working from or where your business is located, they are moving abroad or moving to a different state, and it's not something, your startup is not something that they can work on virtually. Maybe your business requires a physical presence, for them to really be active. If the fact that they are relocating is one reason why they may want to say, you know what, I am done. I cannot combine, being where I am and working on your startup. So I want to walk away. So again, you need to think about what happens to his responsibilities, who takes over from him or her, what happens to the shares, how would that be? Has it been fully vested? Are there some that are unvested? I mean, there are so many questions to ask when a co-founder wants to leave. And of course, the giant and the most recurrent reason why a co-founder would leave your startup is on ground of hostility. Like both of you cannot look at each other in the eye. Both of you cannot. There are like two captains in the ship, and no one is ready to submit to the other. So things have totally gone south between you two. On that ground, it's safe and it's okay for one person to want to walk away. And of course, I know that before walking away, you must have tried your hands at negotiation, mediation, and all forms of alternative dispute resolution, and it isn't working. Your co-founder isn't having it. The attitude is unbearable and unimaginable, and really, both of you are just suffering yourself. And so you would have no choice than for to let him go and for him to of course walk away by himself. And when it is when the co-founder is living on the ground of hostility, it's usually more difficult to handle. Okay, and that's why it is important to deal with issues of exit of co-founders from the beginning, from the word go. And so the kind of question you want to ask yourself is, what happens to the shares of a co-founder if he leaves? What happens to the responsibilities? Are there someone? Do we have people who can fill up the role and everything? These questions will help you provide solutions that you can easily refer to when any of the situations that I mentioned above occurs. So if a co-founder is leaving your startup, whether on ill health, on marital ground, relocation to further his education, or even based because of hostility, it's easy for you to refer back to your document. And so it goes without saying that if you have co-founders, you need to have an operating document, a document that regulates your relationship, a document where you can state how disputes will be resolved, a document where you can make a provision for exit strategy for what happens if a co-founder decides to exit a startup. You actually need to have a co-founder shareholders agreement. And so this agreement will contain all of what I've said plus more. And when any of the above issues arise, like when a co-founder wants to leave, it's easy to simply, refer to the document and say, okay, this is what should happen in this instance. I do hope that you've gotten value. Feel free to please drop your question. I'll be glad to answer them, and do share this video if you got value as well. See you next time. Bye bye.